I'm here in Ironbark Bloodwood country, and we're just burning through the kangaroo grass here. This is about the third time we burned this area, and it's looking cleaner and cleaner every time, and we're getting more and more grass, which creates more food for the animals. And you can see the fire is only small, doesn't harm the trees. And the smoke, beautiful white smoke that comes from our grass, is medicinal for the country and doesn't harm the animals or the bees. And you can see that the grasses are half green and half dry. A perfect time. This is a beautiful afternoon in the wintertime, and it's no better place to be when you're in burning country. What a magical afternoon. The land is sick in many places, and it's lost its identity. And so applying a fire will always be different because of its health condition, so that we can get the right vegetation to grow back, so we can burn it again at the right time of year, the way that the old people would have done before. And the trees are the key. The trees tell us where to burn, and then the grass tells us when to burn, right on the money. And that's really important, that we're reading the land when we apply fire. It's actually burning for the land, for the health of the land, and knowing what you're burning for, and burning in a way that, that you're going to make the country more healthy. To be able to adapt and change and move the fire according to that climate change is a skill that Aboriginal people have been doing for thousands of years, because the climate has always been changing. My name is Victor Stephenson. I'm Takalaka from my mother's side, from Croydon in far north Queensland. I work with traditional knowledge all my life, and getting traditional knowledge values in the modern world, and cultural burning or Aboriginal fire management. That's something that's taken a lot of my life up in supporting a lot of communities.
We grew up very much appreciating fire, not this sort of Western view about fire being bad. My relationship with fire is that fire is a necessary part of Australia, treating it with respect as much as using it as a land management tool. I love the smell of smoke, so I think smoke is a cleansing element, and that's certainly what I grew up believing. The idea of smoke in your house when someone passed away, for example. And so fire's always been there. It's been a constant part of my life. It's been a constant part of Australia's evolution as a country, but it's also deeply ingrained in Aboriginal people's identity and our relationship to country.
Fire is used to protect all country, but you don't burn all country. There is good fire and there is bad fire. If fire is not respected, it will turn around and bite you.
When I work on a fire, all the communities are different, and the country is different. You know, I don't do a fire on anyone's country unless I'm invited by them to come and do that burn. It's really important that the people that come from that land are respected. So when I work with communities on country, it's about building on their knowledge, on their country, and allowing them to uncover what was lost in the past through their landscapes. So it's very special by actually applying the fire and showing the indicators of success of that fire, improving the landscapes and doing what it's meant to be doing, rather than getting away and being a wildfire and doing the opposite. Is what people are really used to when they think about the culture of fire in Australia.
I'm a fire elder for Wurundjeri Tribe Land Council. My role is to teach my community how to apply right fire to right country at the right time. Fire is a a job that I did not mean to embrace. It came out of a necessity because of the 2009 bushfires, which affected the property that we're on here. And it was very frightening. It was my first time in a bushfire. And I thought, this is not right, this is wrong.
The average Australian doesn't like fire. People exclude fire out of a landscape for a long period of time. Inevitably, there's going to be a fire. And the amount of emissions or smoke that comes out of that place when it's all choked up with vegetation and hasn't been burnt or cleared means that the emissions are going to be through the roof. So there's a lot of smoke that comes out of places that aren't burnt regularly, and we've certainly learnt that and we've tested that. You need to have constant fire in the landscape, and you need to have the right people lighting those fires.
It sounds an oxymoron when we talk about this, but Indigenous ways of burning is commonly called and referred to as cool burning. So the hotter fire you have, the more toxic chemicals you release out of the material that's being burnt. The cooler the fire, you release the right chemicals.
The ground should just be warm, and it is. You can put your hand on it.
Yeah.
We've got a little cricket. It's seen that there's fire, and it's got a bit worried. And a little cricket has come back into the fire. He's trying to burrow away. So normally in the modern burning, they would want to burn all this whole area, and that would have nowhere to get away, and it'd be then predated on by the birds. So I've protected someone's totem. Someone will have the totem as the cricket. It's still crawling. So that's cool burning for you.
Black smoke is bad smoke. White smoke is good smoke. White ash is bad ash. Black ash is good. So when you're burning, you're not only burning to clean the floor of the land that you are burning, you are also creating fertiliser with the fire. The ash that you leave behind when the next rains come puts that carbon, which would normally go up into the air from a hot fire, it puts it back down in the ground, and the plants then start to take it up again. That's the cycle of Indigenous fire. It is not just for healing country at that time to make it safe for humans. It is there to heal all of country.
Unfortunately, a lot of Indigenous people these days have got to spend a lot of time restoring their country because it's been mismanaged or abused or whatever for a long period of time. And so we do see a lot of groups that the ILC and others are supporting do go through a process of restoration of their country, but also a restoration of their cultural practice back into that country. And that needs to be understood, that just giving people their country isn't the end of the story. It's only the start of a new chapter.
Our ancestors never burnt the bush. All we ever did was clean it. It is about fire managing, and managing it for a purpose.
Australia has a lot to learn from First Nations people. For fire management, people are starting to now slowly recognise that Indigenous fire is a good thing and it should be implemented. We're seeing more people writing about the fact that pre-1788 fires are the kinds of fires that we need. And sometimes those fires are big, sometimes they're small, but we need fire in the landscape constantly to ensure that Australia's natural environment is not separated from its cultural and its spiritual environment as well.
Most people thought that the way Indigenous people were burning was that we were declaring war on the settlers. They never stopped to ask the question, though, is why are you burning? They could see no rhyme or reason for it because it didn't match to their European mindset. If they had asked, they would have found out that it was a yearly practice of cleaning the floor of our home. And by doing that, preserved it for the next season. Built up a resilience to the bushfires that did inevitably come before and will inevitably come in the future. But the inevitable fires we're going to have into the future because of climate change are getting hotter and hotter and hotter. We need more of our people out there doing not big, large-scale burns, but much, much more small local burns right across country if we're going to build up a resilience to this climate change and the fire threat that is coming our way.
In English biblical terms, see fire as a bad thing, versus my understanding and my upbringing as being fire is good. And so there's two different ideologies there that haven't really connected. And so that's one of the fundamental problems in Australia, or the challenges, is that until people understand that we are living in nature and nature is part of humanity and humanity is part of nature, and they're not two things separate to each other, I think we've got, a long way to go.
On the country itself, it's already showing that it needs help. It's actually the way we manage the land and have people being able to do that properly and accordingly to the changes in climate.
When you're looking at burning country, you always need to be looking for the new indicators, because the indicators won't be the same as what they were last year. So, and that's what climate change has always done. And we've lived through 3 lots of climate change as Aboriginal people. But rather than trying to predict that the climate's going to be doing this, look at what the climate's done to the land that you're going to burn at that particular time.
The people who are always going to be there, regardless of whether it's natural disasters or not, are going to be Indigenous people. They have always been, and they will continue to be tied to those places, and I don't think that's fully understood and appreciated.
Collaboration with everybody is important. Fire6 is an Aboriginal organisation. It's a non-for-profit, and it was developed over a number of years, many years. And then over time, a network built through doing fire workshops and invest in the communities to build their own capacity, their autonomy, to be able to manage their own lands and restore their culture, which is crucial to the health of the people. This is a property here that I've been supporting with teaching fire here for Indigenous rangers, but also been doing work here just helping the property owners to restore this land. This land was once cattle, and the whole area was full of weeds, full of stylo, all through this country. And now we have a sea of kangaroo grass all the way through. And that is from us burning. So this area might have had about 4 burns over the years that I've been doing stuff on this block. And over time I've seen thick weeds turn into native grass, and that's really beautiful. And there's countless areas where I've seen that improvement in landscapes. And it shows that, the knowledge of that land and the traditional knowledge of burning country is crucially the answer to restoring the health of that land. So that's why it's so important to be able to apply fire the right way. Climate change is all about adaptation. And so when we do get a dry summer, yes, well, we might not burn through there to do storm burning season. We might be late, and then we wait for the dew. Then we wait for the winter time. So we're always taking notice of that. Warm. Just get all this area so it can spread through. Yep. And lighting them close together so they help each other. And so by doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they'll now support each other, because it's getting cool in the afternoon now. So they need each other to keep each other warm.
There's been a long history of excluding Indigenous people being able to light fires. People used to get shot for lighting fires on some of the stations. And so reintroducing those regimes back into the landscape were pretty important. So we started this program called the Savannah Fire Management Program in the north, and we started seeing opportunities around this emerging carbon market that was starting to take place, particularly globally, and as governments and countries became accountable to the emissions that particular activities produced. I'd say in Australia, prior to settlement, the biggest emission was fire. And so it told us that there needed to be fire in the Australian landscape. We needed the right people in that landscape. But to be able to do that, you needed to connect it to a market mechanism, and the carbon market was that mechanism. And the Savannah Fire Management Program and Initiative now generates somewhere in the excess of $50 to $60 million annually for people selling their carbon credits into the market, employing hundreds of people, supporting a lot of language revitalisation, people being able to return back to their country, return to sacred sites, perform ceremonies, and to be able to do those sorts of things and be paid for it, I think is one of the most important things for Australia, and particularly for biodiversity.
Being able to walk with the fire. If you walk with the fire will understand that you are working with it, not fighting against it. And every single fire, by using the methodology that I use, starts where I want it to start, finishes where I want it to finish. Nothing has been damaged, no bird life, no animals, no reptiles. No trees have been harmed. Trees are sacred. Trees must be protected. They are the parents of the future trees. They are the godfathers of the grasses that grow underneath them. They are the homes and the shelter for a range of animals. We did not burn the bush. We just burnt the forest floor, and we kept it clean. Therefore, when the bushfires come from the lightning strikes, where we have burnt, it will slow down that fire, and in many cases stop that fire.
I'm always learning, and you never stop learning, and the country never stops teaching you. And so until the day I die, the country will not stop teaching me, and the knowledge will continue to flourish and will continue to expand, and I will continue to share that to the next generations, because it really is about the young people, The young people are the key. And if I think back to all the elders I've worked with over the years, all the most amazing people, women and men, the one thing that always comes out is the value of young people. The most important thing for all people is young people. And the most important thing for young people is the elders to teach them as well. And to ensure that the knowledge system continues to be alive, continues to grow old, and continues to be an extensive source of knowledge into the future.
Looking at the country with fire. Looking at the country with fire.
Rather than what we see today, where knowledge systems are destroyed and then we only end up with Western science, which is only young. So it's like starting all over again with a complete knowledge system, and we don't have time for that. And that's why it's so important to hand down knowledge to next generations and to keep old knowledge systems alive and well through the practice of caring for our country and our communities.
And the word that we have is nura for fire, and that tells us that when you don't have fire, your country's unhealthy. And when you do, it's healthy. And so that sort of led to this ideology that we started understanding and appreciating and articulating, that fire needs people and people need fire, in the same way that country needs people and people need country. Those sorts of terminologies are easy to roll off the tongue, but they mean a lot. And understanding that now, and talking to people who are, long advocates like Victor Stephenson, and having places where there's no fire is what we've always known. They're unhealthy places. So you always manage your country, and it's constant.
So the fire's just taking out the weeds and what needs to come out. And the grass stalks are still green. And so this would shoot back in a couple of weeks and be nice and green for the rest of the year through summer. Everything about it in its right way is healing, because it's creation as well. Like fire created the earth as well, it's part of that creation. When we apply to fire, you benefit everything: the soil, the grass, the animals, the trees. And that's the same as the tree supporting everything in nature itself. And that's the way nature works. A tree will support everything on that landscape. This tree will support the air, it will support the ground, it will help these grasses to grow, because they wouldn't grow without the trees being here, these type of plants in the system. And the tree provides flowers for the bees and fruit for the birds and seeds. And it also has a hollow for animals to live inside. So you can see how that tree also provides shade. And that shade is what we're sitting in now, to keep us cool and to keep the land cool. So that tree is benefiting everything around it and benefiting everything on the country. It is a really special relationship. And that is nature's blueprint, and that is nature's structure. And so when you look at indigenous practice, that's the same. The praction is what I say in fire country, where an action by humans that benefits everything on that landscape. So being that indigenous knowledge comes from nature, and the practices also mimic the same as nature, in whatever we do benefits nature. And that way we get what we need from it as well. So it's reciprocal relationship. So how you design that in a modern sense, in a world that has capitalism, in a world that is, everyone wants to push other people out and be greedy, or I don't want to involve that person and I want to do it myself. That sort of attitude is not the way that nature is designed. And it's not the way that cultural practices are designed either, and the way that they're designed to benefit everything. So when I'm working, doing fire projects and involving the pastoralists, the traditional owners, organizations, I'm trying to get them all to collaborate and for them all to benefit and to all to see that we can do one project that everyone can be a part of, that everyone benefits from and everyone supports and celebrates, in a way that builds relationships, in a way that creates more opportunities, that brings more investment in different forms and different directions, to keep things alive and to keep things exciting and to grow more awareness. And so when we apply our projects in a modern sense, that's what we have to think about. We have to think about the design, and that design is Mother Nature's design. And if we align ourselves with Mother Nature's design, which is also the cultural design, then you'll find that there's far more success, far more benefits, and abundance of opportunity that follows.